Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to talk about Sas Array. Sas Array is one of the very useful programming tools that can be used to process your variables. This array process basically identified variables as a group rather than individual. So you can handle multiple variables all together as a group, and that will basically save your machines and programming time both. And we will use do loop statements along with the Sas array that will basically perform the same manipulations or calculations multiple times, or repeat the same programs through the iterations process. So if you assign for performing two times, it will do two iterations, and likewise as I explained you in do loop statements. So I will start with an example here. Like, suppose I have a data set here. Dataset name is base file, and this dataset actually contains 14 variables. So when I will run this program, you will see that how these variables are appear. So you can see these variables dot1, dot2, dot3, and likewise up to dot14. So these 14 variables are here, and there are 7 records. So suppose I want to remove the value that is assigned in these variables 0 with missing value. So for example, whatever, either it is in dot1 or dot4 or dot9, if any value is 0, I wanted to replace that value with missing value. So in an ideal way, like if you process through the data step programming, you have to write if and then a statement. So for example, this is a program, the long way program, which is not an array. So that's why I'm naming it as a non-array. So you have to write these statements for the first variable. So if dot1 is equal to 0, then dot1 is equal to missing. So you wanted to replace it. And for all variables, you have to repeat this statements again and again for all 14 variables. So when you will run this program, what will happen? All the values which are 0 is now replaced with missing value. So that can be a long process, and if you have like hundreds of variables, so it will be too lengthy and you have to write a very lengthy program. So there is a shorter way, that is array, that can be used to do these kind of manipulations when you are handling like so many variables all together, and that will save your programming time. So here you have to basically write an array statement. So I will show you like the same. You have to give the set statements for referring your data set, and you have to provide the name of your data set that will be created, and you have to write a array statement. So array statements is always start with array, and after that you have to write name of the array. So you can name anything, like I am writing here dots1. You can write name one, or you can write xyz, whatever you want. And after that you have to assign the number of elements. So for example, here we have a 14 variables. So 14 variables basically reflects the 14 elements. So for that I have to write number 14 here, because I'm going to process all these 14 variables together in a similar fashion. So the elements number must be enclosed in parenthesis. So I'm writing here, so that is enclosed in the bracket here. And after that you have to write the name of the variable. So you can write individually the name of the variables, like dot1 or dot2 and dot3, like that. Or you can just give a dash, and you can write from 1 to 14. So it will cover all variables from dot1 to dot14. So this is an array statements, as I told you. So there are 4 parts. One is the array, you have to write it, then the name of the array, then the element name, and then after that you have to write the variable's name. And after that you have to write the do statements, as I told you in my earlier video. So do statements always start with the do, and end with the end statement. So in that case, you have to write an index variable. So index variable, we are going to process, these iterations for 1 to 14. So, if I is equal to 1, it will reflect, the variables 1. If it is 2, it will reflect the variables 2 likewise. So we have to process, these iterations up to 14 times, and this is the conditions I am giving here. So if dot I, so if I is equal to 1 is equal to 0, then dot I is equal to missing. So if it is 1, so 1 is reflecting for the dot 1, so 2 is reflecting for dot 2 likewise, and at the end you have to write in the statement. So this process will, go for 14 iterations one by one, and this will give you the same result that what you are getting in the simple data step statements. So I will run this program and you will see the same results will come, and you can see all the values where 0 is mentioned, it is now replaced with missing value. So this is how the array can save your time. And if suppose you have hundreds of variables, and you don't have to write this statements 100 times, you can do basically, array process, and you can save your time and programming time and machine time both. So that is the use of the array. And I'm going to show you another example. So this is another example. We have, like, you can see there are so many variables with different name. In my earlier example, all the variables name were same, but here variables name are different. So suppose I have a data set here where the information about base pay, co-pay, and Fed pay, insurance pay, deductible, and so many informations are there. And suppose I wanted to change this informations with certain value, and I wanted to multiply each variables with this number, and in that case I have to write again if statements, if we wanted to do using the long method like normal data step method. So in that case you have to write if the base pay is greater than 0, then do this and multiply this number with this number. So you have to repeat this for each variables. And to make it easy, like in the array processing, you have to again do the same way. You have to write the set statements, you have to write the data, that set that you are generating, and you have to write the array statement. So array, as I told you, has four different parts. You have to write the array here, you have to write the name of array, that can be anything, and you have to write the element number here. So here I'm writing 7 because we are going to handle all these 7 variables together. Like, we are not handling any individual variables, we are handling all these 7 variables together. And again I am writing do loop statement here. So in here I'm giving index variable 1 to 7. So 7 because I have 7 variables here, and this is the conditions I am providing. It's like if charge I, so if I is 1 or 2 or 3, whatever is greater than 0, then change this value, whatever I'm writing here. If it is working for 1, it should be 1 here as well, and 1 should be here, and it will multiply with this number. If it is 2, so the second variable will come, and then whatever the value in second variable will be multiplied with this, and it will repeatedly perform, for each iterations. It will reflect the number of the variables. So first iterations will be done for the first variable, second iteration for second variables, and likewise, and it will be completed. So I'm going to run this program here, and I will show you that I will run all three programs, so you will see what are the differences. So three data sets. So this is the base file. So 121 is coming. So non-array method I use is changed to 125. And again array methods is again changed to the same number because I'm using a different method, but output will be the same in both method. But array method, as I told you, is less time consuming, and it will make less effort, uh, you know, to do the job actually. And it's easy to actually basically check any warning or any error in this programming. So that is the benefit. And not only the numerical value can be handled in array, as I told you here. I am showing in previous two examples with numeric value, but you can handle character value as well using the array method. So here is, suppose I have a data set here, non-array 3, and there are so many variables are here, and I'm going to run this program and I will show you that how this data set is look like. So see subject ID, and there are different procs 1 to 6, and there is information about organs. So I wanted to delete some of the value here, just to show you. So I am deleting, like if value is 520, then whatever the value of procs 2 and procs 3 is missing. So it will look a different, so I can show you this is the output. So here two values are missing. So what is the use of array, in when you are handling a character variable? So suppose I wanted to count that how many values are actually in uh, each animal ID. So for that, if you are writing a non-array method, you have to write a program like this. You have to give a set of statements to access your data, and you have to write the name of the data that you are going to generate, and you have to again write the count here. So it will start with the 0, and you can write in a statements like if prox1 is not equal to missing, then you can count like whatever is its value, and you can add 1. So if it is not missing, if it is missing, so that will count only the non-missing one. So I will show you like how the outcome will appear actually when you will run this program. So you can see here for the subject ID 125, so counting is 6. All these 6 are present here, but here you can see 2 are missing, so only 4 is coming here. So that's where you can count like how many values are missing and how many values are present. So this is a long way method, which is basically a non-array method. So this job can be done with array as well. So here again, as I told you, it will start the same way. You have to write set statement, you have to write your data statement here, the name of the data set that you are generating, and you have to write your count starting from 0. And here you have to write the array statement, and the same four parts here. Array, it's always start with array, and you have to write name of array. That can be anything. Here I am writing as a prox, and here you have to write the element, so number of the variables you are going to handle. And you have to remember that if you are handling any character array, you must assign a dollar sign here, otherwise it will not take character values or variables. So that is very important. And here also I am assigning length. That can be also be removed if you are very much sure about the length. You don't need to write it. I'm just writing here dollar sign, and you have to write the name of the variable. So I am going to write the name of variables from 1 to 6, and the same again do statements here, and the conditions that the same I used in my data statements here, the same conditions. And this will 6 iterations will be done for each variables. And when you will run this program, you will see the output is same as I showed you earlier. So again, you can see the counts here, and 4 is here because 2 values are missing. So this is like when you are handling a character variable in array. And suppose I wanted to make all the variables in uppercase. Right now you can see all the values are here lowercase. So I just wanted to change it to uppercase. That can be easily done using an array. So suppose I am writing here again array statements, and I wanted to do the job for all 6 variables. And here I'm writing my statement. So for the first variable is equal to uppercase for the first variable. So if I is 1, so it will make the first variable uppercase, and then at the second iterations it will do the job for the second variables, and likewise. So all the variables will be converted into uppercase. So let's run the program and it will be more clear. So now you can see all the variables are changed into upper case. And this is the index variable that can be dropped now, because I didn't drop here, but you can easily drop you know uh, I variables, and that case it will be like 100% matching with the there will be no any extra variables will appear. So you can see that all the variables are now in uppercase. So this is how you can handle your basically character variables. And moving further, I just wanted to do some more example here. So for example, if you wanted to apply the same mathematical computations to all the variables, I already showed you. This is another example. Like if you have a number here, some are negative number, some are positive number, and some are zero, and these are the name of variable. And suppose I just wanted to run this program so that you can see that how the data values are looks like here. And if you wanted to multiply these values with whatever uh, with some mathematics here. So for example, here I am going to multiply -1 with each variables here. So what will be the value will come. So again, you have to write the array statement, and you wanted to do like this. So you wanted to do this job for all the variables. So first iterations it will do the job in first variable, and for second iterations it will do the job for the second variables, and likewise. So when you will run this program, you will see that all the values are now basically multiplied with -1. So whichever is the -2 is converted into +2, and the +1 is now converted into -1. So this is how the any mathematical computations or calculations can be done for all the variables together in a group. So that is very important to remember. And this is another example. Like we have a data set here. So we have 13 different variables. So fam ID here, and fam inc 1 to fam inc 12. So there are 13 variables. One is ID, and there are 12 different variables of fam inc 1 to fam inc 12. So if you wanted to multiply each variables with any number, suppose I wanted to multiply with you know point 1, and wanted to generate a new variable here. So you can see here I'm calculating tax inc. So yeah, I'm going to multiply this value with this number. So I'm doing the same job for each variables and generating a new variables here. you know so this is a normal method that you can do it. The normal data step method that you can use to perform this job, and new 12 variables will be generated here where the values were multiplied with zero point 0.1. So this can be done using the array method as well. So that you have to remember that you have to start again with the same process. You have to uh, you know reference the your data set that you are using, and you have to name the data set you are going to create. But here you have to write two array statements. So one array statement is for existing variables. So this is the first array statement. So you always start with array, and you have to write the name of the array, and you have to write the element number here. So it's a 12, and I'm writing the existing variables here. So you can see that existing variables name is fam inc 1 to fam inc 12, and this the second array basically is for the new variables, and I'm giving a different name here because this name cannot be matched. So a different array name here you should assign, and because the number of elements is same, it's 12, I'm generating 12 variables, and the new variables name, so it's the tax inc 1 to taxing 12, so it will be generated 1 2 3 and likewise. And again you have to write do statements here. So do statements, I'm writing month. You can write anything like index variable name. You can write I, which is more popular, so you can write I here instead of month. That will also work. And uh, for example, so this new variable will be generated, and if it is I1, so first new variable will be generated, and if it is 1, so it will take first variables from the data set and it will multiply with zero point 0.1, and this will be the first iteration. So again, for the second iterations, the two, so second a new variable will be generated and it will take the second variables from the data set. And likewise 12 iterations will be done using this do loop statements, and finally 12 different variables will be generated with a value where it's multiplied with a zero point 0.1. So when you will run this program, you will see the same findings as it's came in the data step program. So you can see that 12 different new variables are now generated here where the values were multiplied with zero point 0.1. So that is how you can handle your data set, and you can generate new variables as well in SAS array processing. So this is very interesting. And other things, this is another example I wanted to show you about collapsing over variables. So suppose you have 12 different variables as I showed you in my example here. So I wanted to, so there are 12 different variables here, and just leave it the ID. Other than that, there are 12 variables, and I wanted to calculate some quarterly reports. So I wanted to combine, first three and then next three and next three and the next three. So likewise, so this is a normal method that you can do that, data step processing, but that can be done also using the array method as well, and which is more powerful, I can say. And this is the new variable we are creating. So as I told you, you have to write two different array statement, one for the existing variable for giving reference, and in second array statements where the new variables will be generating. So this array statements reflecting the existing variable, and this array statements will reflect the new variables that will be generated. And again you have to write the do statements here, and you have to write, because we are creating only 4 variables here, we are not creating 12, so because we are combining these three, and so that's why this do loop statements is only 4 times, and it will be 4 iterations will be done here. So this is the calculations that you have to do that, and this is the new variables that will be generated. The first variable will the inc q1, so if q is equal to 1, so and this is how the calculations will go, so that will give you this value here. So this is just details about that, and when you will run this program, you will see that the same result where the first 3 values were combined, and 4 new values variables are generated now. So these 4 variables are now generated. So this is how you can handle a group of variables altogether. So moving ahead, some basic things I just wanted to repeat again, and some new things that I was not able to basically show you in my previous examples. I will show you here. So I'm going to again showing the same program, but it will give you a more idea about the array. So you can see we have different variables here, some of numeric, like first 3 variables are numeric and last 2 variables are character variables. So suppose this program is very similar to the my first example. So suppose if any value is greater than 3, you wanted to replace with a missing value. So the first way, as I showed you, through the array method, you can write an array statements here. So array statement, you as always start with array. You have to write the name of array. You have to write basically the dimension of the array, the element number you have to write here. And because there are three variables, three are numeric, so you have to write the name of all three numeric variable. And then you have to write the do statement. So do statement, because you want it to do three iterations, you have to write three. And you can give a condition like if n where I for the first variable is greater than 3, then this value is missing. So this will be the first iterations. For the second it will be 2, and for third it will be 3. So the three iterations will be done, and you will get a result where the value is greater than 3 will show missing value here. So that's what you're getting here. So this is the first way of the array. The second way, the same array can be written in a different way. So that's why what I wanted to show you. So here, instead of writing a the number of elements, you can write asterisk value. So asterisk value basically also count the number of elements. And in that case, if you are not interested in counting, or you don't know that how much the element is, though in that case you have to write asterisk, so it will automatically count the number of element. And if you are handling like many numeric variables, so you wanted to calculate for all of the numeric variables, so you really don't need to write the name of numeric variable. You can just write underscore numeric underscore. See, it will take all the numeric variables in considerations for doing whatever the process you wanted to perform. And again, you have to write the do statements here. And here you can see I am not writing the number of elements here. Instead of that, I am writing dim, which is basically reflects the dimension functions and passes to the arguments of the number of variables. So whatever is in this array variables. So basically, you don't need to write which number you wanted to perform. So you can write the dim function here that will pass this. So dim function return to the number of elements of the variables, and you can write the same conditions that what I wrote here, like if value is greater than 3, then assign a missing value. So you point to be remember that if you are not aware about the basically a number of elements, you can write asterisk, you can use underscore numeric underscore, and you can use the dim function as well. And when you will run this program, you will get the same value as you get in the previous example. So in this example, so a lesson learned here, like use of the asterisk, use of the number underscore numeric underscore, and use of dim function here. So that can be very interesting to learn. So this is about the numeric variable. So if you are handling a character variable, so as I showed you, like the last two variables are character, and if you wanted to do any manipulation in character variables, you can do in the similar way. So here again I am writing asterisk instead of the basically diamond a number of elements. I'm using asterisk here, and I'm writing underscore character underscore. I'm not writing the name of the character variable, and also not using any dollar sign here. And again, I'm using the dim function, and I'm using subtract function here. Just want to take out the first letter of the variable. So I wanted to take out the first one of first character from these variables. So when I will run this program, you will see the output. The first character is taken out from these variables, and for both the variables. So this is only two times will be performed, because there are two new character variables are here. So this is how you can handle different way. And the third is like very interesting one. So here, like suppose if you want to assign any temporary value to that can be used for any calculation purpose, that can also be included in a array statements. So for example, assign an initial value in a Sas array. So here I'm generating a data set ABCD, and I'm using the same data set temp here, and I'm using numeric variable here, and these are the px1, px2, px3. These are the new variables that will be generated, and these are the old variables. Those are in already in the data set, as I showed you. And these are the temporary array because these value are not been included in your output data set, and I'm using these for the calculation purpose. So the temporary is used in the array statement. Data elements are created but are not stored in the data file. So that is very important to remember. So I'm writing a do statements here, you can see, and dim function. So whatever the element number will come, so it will appear here, and this is the new variables that is going to be generated here. So this the for first iteration it will be px1, and I'm using this n variable here. So n var is whatever is in your original data set, and this is the my temporary array value. So for the first iterations this value will be used, and for second, this data will be generated, this new variables will be generated, and it will take the second variables from the data set, and the second value of the temporary array will be used for multiplication. So this is how you can use a temporary array for your calculation and for your manipulations of your data set. And when you will run this program, you will see an output here. So these are the three initial variables. These are the character variables that is from the initial data set, and these three variables are now generated because of this program, and where the calculations was done using the temporary array values. So this is very interesting to understand that how you can use this array for so many ways. And this is another example. This is not something different as I explained you earlier. So if you are not assigning any temporary values here, like as assigned in my previous example, you can basically calculate that temporary value, and for the first iterations it will be calculated for the first, and for the second iterations it will be calculated for the second, and likewise. And after that, if you are creating any new variables, that can be easily, so this one is for the new variables array, and that can be created here as well. So I'm going to run this one, and you will see that new variables are created here, for two variables, and these are the a formula that were used. And the last but not least, I just wanted to show you, so do over loop. So do over loop is also one of the very powerful do loop programming, and here you really don't need to use the indexing of your array. And suppose in that case you really don't need to, like, do I is equal to 1 to 4 or like that. You can simply write do over, and you have to write the name of the array, and you can write your conditions like if n var is greater than 3, then n var is missing. So this is very simple, and and this is very simple to use. So this is another very powerful method of the array, and I hope you like my video, and thank you very much for watching.